Hey guys, it's Roderick and I'm here with another review of the Mayfair Witches, Season 1, Episode 4, Curiouser and Curiouser. And ain't that a MFing title, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to review this show, give your thoughts, give our kiki, and I'm going to do a separate video that you're going to get Monday morning about where we are with Mayfair Witches, why things are the way they are from my perspective. I have a good old-fashioned tum to Jesus about the Mayfair Witches because I don't want to convolute this review with that. I think that needs to be a separate video so we could just go down and just really get in and go in and let have about the Mayfair Witches or whatever like that. So look for that video Monday morning. You should be getting this one Sunday evening or so. Early in the afternoon, maybe, just in case so everyone has enough time to watch the show. And then we all gonna be on the same page when we go in and let have on Monday, because I have some thoughts about Mayfair Witches up until this point. So let's just go in. So we get the teaser. So if you're new to this channel, welcome. This is where we talk about television shows, movies, a little bit of reality television, but all with the eye towards filmmaking, acting, and directing. So we get the teaser. So the teaser, of course, are the scenes before we get to the credits. And we start off with another flashback episode. But this time, it is a funeral, right? So I'm like, okay, kudos. We're going to get a funeral in this episode. They're maybe going to connect the funeral that we're getting in this episode or whatever. No, girl, we just get a random ass funeral, right? So now the lady who's been hit with the boar is dead. She's like mourning. The preacher tells her to be quiet. Another one's like, I'm coming for you tonight. I'm like, oh my God, are they gonna kill her? No, really what they're doing is taking her to her real funeral where all her witchy sisters could go and have a funeral. And that's all we get. We don't know what this woman's name is. We don't know why they're doing a witchy funeral. We don't know what's going to happen. All we get are these really non sequitur flashbacks that in the essence of it is really kind of wasting good real estate, right? Which I'll get to at the end. Because Mayfair Witches is tracking about 42 minutes and 45 seconds. And if you look at Interview with a Vampire, those episodes are tracking somewhere close to 50 minutes, right? So we're getting short at about 7 minutes of narrative. And you're like, well, 7 minutes, is that really a lot? Yes, because in a script, typically one page is a minute, right? So that's 7 pages of action, dialogue, potential exposition, subtext that could be going in that we're getting shorter somehow in Mayfair Witches because the show is really feeling kind of short. So I had to go back and look at the times and realize that these episodes are running a tad bit shorter, right? So what's making it look longer because you have the whole behind the episode and you get like a little preview of the next episode. So I was like, okay, fine. So we get Mayfair Witch, so we get the flashback. Then we come to the present, and Rowan is laying in bed, and they cut to, and we go to, she's having sex with Cyprian. And I was like, oh, okay, that's quick. Maybe that little psychic bond or whatever is like having, maybe this is a next evolution of this. Child, no, because she's having sex with him. Again, she's on top, but now all of a sudden she's back to the bottom and she's having sex, and it goes from Cyprian to Lasher, and then she's like, freaked out. Let's pause. Why is she freaked out? The last time she saw this guy, she was on the street and she almost had sex with him then. Why is she freaked out? This is just a face and a name of somebody she's like, was seeing or whatever. She shouldn't have been freaked out. It seemed like she would have just kept it going or whatever, because these are 2 people she theoretically wants to have sex with. Didn't make any sense. But it doesn't matter because you've wasted all our time because it's just a flash, it's just a dream or whatever. She wakes up, Cyprian's cooking dinner, making her poached eggs, and they talk about how great this bonding, mind melding exercise that they had that we, the viewers, missed out on, right? All we saw was the clasping of hands. Now, the show has wasted so much time showing us different special effects. This would be the special effects or a narrative that you would want to show because you want to know, well, what did he see? What makes him so still wants to deal with her? We don't get any of that. We just said, fine. Cyprian melded, he's into it. Then he's like, okay, Odetta brought you a dress for the funeral. She's like, are you going to the funeral? He's like, yeah, I'll be there at the funeral. And I was like, okay, fine, cute. So she gets her black dress. Now we cut over back to the 2 aunties, right? They go downstairs and lo and behold, Delphine's dead. Did you really think that he was going to just be like, okay, I'm going to be like bound to this, to your maid, and that was going to be the solution? No. So Delphine's dead and the necklace is gone. So now Auntie Carlotta is like, what's Louisa going to do, right? Now we get over to Uncle Cortland, and he's getting his touched up, and I was just like, you know, these old Southern quasi-sissies love it, right? He's like, it's a feud, and I'm gonna look all the ways my best. His daughter comes in and was like, oh, you know, she's gone. We get her for the funeral. Carlotta's having a reception that we're not invited to, and it was like, whatever. So it looks like the daughter and Cortland both know about Lasher and are both on this kind of pro Lasher side, as opposed to Aunt Carlotta, who's not, okay? So then we get to the funeral, right? So Rowan shows up to the funeral. She's with Cyprian. He's walking through, and he's like, this is Auntie so-and-so. She's been alive since, you know, this time. This is blah-de-blah. She's been alive for this time. So I'm like, this is a perfect chance for you to really put in some exposition and some backstory about some of these people in this family, right? Because this is the time to understand, like, are they all witches? Is it just some of them witches? This walk from the door to the crypt, you could have given us the whole Mayfair family summed up in 2 to 3 to 5, like 5 to 7 lines, right? This is what it was. So this is what we'll discuss about squandering goodwill, right? So we still don't know. Everyone's looking at Rowan. You know, Aunt Carlotta's there. She comes up to the front. Now, sneaky Uncle Cortland goes up to the body, and he's looking for the necklace, right? Because he needs that necklace to kind of, you know, thinking he's going to buy Rowan. The necklace is gone. So he, like, low-key covers it up and puts his kerchief on it. And then we see, like, some of the close relatives, and the preacher says, can all the family step forward? Mind you, the door opens up and a bunch of rose petals come in, right? So that's like Lasher mourning his beloved. Mind you, here's my question. If the church is full of a whole bunch of witches, right? And everybody knows about Lasher, why does there no Lasher be gone sprayed around the church, right? Now, I recognize we're dealing with source material, but you have to answer that question, right? Does witchcraft not work in churches? Is Lasher too powerful? You got a whole church of Mayfairs, right? I mean, literally, right? So why is that not happening? But I can let that go because, you know, again, Lasher is showing his affection. Now, so then we move for the church, and then we go to the burial, right? To the gravesite. And this is what really annoyed me. And you're going to think this is really small, but this just really irked me. Here we go, and when they get to the burial site and they're carrying the casket, here is Rowan in this black dress with black and white Vans on. And I go, what in the holy heck? Like, okay, I recognize that she did not have time to go to bring any funeral clothes, right? Because that sometimes happens. But do not tell me or play with my intelligence that a neurosurgeon from Stanford could not have hopped her ass somewhere on Bourbon Street, Market Street, Edith Chantress Street, Magazine District, gone to the little, there's like a little, right down there by the Harris off of Canal Street, there's a whole discount mart. You can't tell me this woman couldn't have bought her some easy slip-on black pumps. You can't tell me that her only option in all of New Orleans shopping was for her just to end up wearing some black and white Vans. And that just doesn't even, I was like, what are these choices, right? Who shows up to their mama's funeral looking like they're some kind of rebellious 16-year-old, right? And I was just like, really? Really? Because the show makes it evident as she's meeting her relatives when they get home, how much is she's a doctor, and she's just a doctor. What kind of what is this? But I guess she's a doctor who lives on a boat. But still, I was like, ain't nobody gonna think that that's an appropriate way for you to show up to anybody's funeral, right? Now, Sib gets a call. He's like, I gotta go. We gotta deal with something. Now, when Cortland and his daughter were talking, right, they were like, oh, who's ever did this, they're gonna pay, they're gonna punish, right? Come to find out, we see this crazy man running around in the parking garage, about to throw himself over the ledge. He gets taken, right? So at first we thought like these are innocent bystanders or whatever. Come to find out it's the Talamasca who's found him, and they call Cyprian, and he has to go and kind of like scan him to see what the situation is, right? So Cyprian leaves and we get to the burial. Rowan sees kind of like the gravestone with her name on it. And she's like, I guess it makes sense now that everyone's looking at me like I'm a ghost because my whole last name is on a fucking like, tombstone or whatever like that. And I'm looking at this grave scene and I'm like, did we really need this, right? What this is an example again, like I was like, what did this really grave scene really give us besides Rowan and being tacky and wearing Vans and seeing her face, like seeing her, name on the tombstone, right? Because then Carlotta's like, oh, I'm having people at the house. Rowan's like, oh, I don't think I'll come. She's like, oh, no, thank you. Him and Han, we all know she's gonna go, right? Carlotta's looking pissed because she's like, I need to get this chick back to the house because I need to figure out what's going on, okay? Cyprian goes back to the Talamasca and finds the guy. He's changing and he's wrenching. So clearly Helen Keller knows this guy's possessed. Cyprian's boss is like, we don't like to use the possessed as kind of, low class or kind of unintelligent, whatever. He's possessed. Cyprian touches him. And again, we don't see what Cyprian sees, which I'm like, you waste our time showing us random stuff, but the things that you need to show us that he's actually seeing, we don't see, right? So he's like, he's been possessed. Oh, yes, it was him. They don't show us how he got in the elevator. They don't show us how she was killed. And they definitely don't show us how he got out or how the elevator was wiped. But again, I digress. So then he's like, finally, he's trying to do it. And in his wrenching around in the chair, his neck snaps. So then Cyprian's like, okay, let's see what her last fleeting moments are. He touches him. And then we see Lasher's astral form leave the body. And then Cyprian's like, it's Aster. So it's Lasher. So I was like, okay, at least Cyprian is like getting his payday, Carmen Sandiego and this together, right? So anyway, Rowan's decided she's going to go to the house. So she walks in and she sees the family. She's in the library. She's looking at pictures. Here comes Carlotta. And Carlotta pretty much is like, look, girl, I know this is a lot, but yeah, it was me. I was the one. She goes, she gives us some pictures of her mother. She was like, I recognize that you're mourning two mothers here. And then Rowan's like, what is up? Why are people thinking I'm dead? And Carlotta's like, it was me. I did it for your own good. And so then Rowan puts one and one together. It's like, oh, to protect me from him. And Carlotta's like, okay, good. At least, we know you're not on a short bus with this, right? So as Rowan and Carlotta are getting her feelings away, here comes Uncle Cortland being like, woo-doo-doo-doo-doo, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, with the whole circus and coming in, is like, set up here, set up there. And then him and Carlotta get into it. And he's like, thanks for the invitation. She's like, girl, you ain't gonna work my nerves today. Carlotta leaves. They introduce each other. Hi, you can call me Uncle Cortland. So then Rowan goes into like the main living room area where all the Mayfairs are gathering. And she's talking to this black Mayfair. She's talking to this another Mayfair. And, they're kind of talking. And they let slip about the designee, right? And then finally, Cortland's daughter comes over and is like, look, y'all are doing the most right now. Let her process this or whatever. So then, in a very good use of exposition, I will give them credit, they explained that the fact that every Mayfair from every generation is a designee. You had Deirdre, who is actually the owner of the house, and the house passes to every designee. She sees the pictures, whatever. But again, we do not connect any of these pictures to any of the people we see in the flashback, so it ends up being a net zero for the exposition, right? So now we know Rowan gets the house, Rowan is the next designee, we know she's the 13th witch. Why does that matter? What's the significance? We're in episode 4, okay? So as we're doing this, we're doing the designee thing. Cyprian's decided that he's going to go down and figure this out. So this is another good, I will say, this is another good point of kind of giving us a little backstory, because we find out that there are 2 lines of Mayfairs, right? The Dutch and the Haitian, which of course explains the black Mayfairs and the white Mayfairs. And if you're wondering how can they all be related in both these different races, any students of American history can tell you, and I don't really need to go into that. But I love that concept. I was like, oh, this is fabulous, because could be another portal in this universe we could expect. We can expand because we have these Dutch, we were literally seeing the Dutch Mayfairs, but we haven't even touched on the Haitian Mayfairs. So I was like, oh, okay, good. Hopefully they'll kind of like cash in on that. But at this point, I ain't wasting my hopes. So then anyway, we come back. She's at the thing. She goes outside to talk to Uncle Cortland. Uncle Cortland, mind you, is being Scooby-Doo upstairs, going through all of Carlotta's drawers. I'm surprised he didn't pull out her panties, looking for the necklace, right? So he can't find the necklace. He finds his father's pipe. I didn't thought it was Carlotta's pipe because we'd only find out later it's the father's pipe. He's outside talking to Rowan, letting her know this is all yours. Come see me about your inheritance. She's like, I don't want none of this. I don't want none of this. And he's like, well, think about it. Change your mind. Out comes Carlotta, cursing Cortland out again because Carlotta explains to Rowan that, look, there are going to be some people in this family that are going to tell you that Lasher is a gift, but I'm here to tell you that he's the devil. He presented himself to me when I was 8, but I knew enough word to word that devil off. And I had to say, you know what? Is that not a word for today? So, whatever. But since we don't know what Rowan's religious affiliation is, we don't know if she has any word at all in her or any willingness to ward him off. So we're just like, oh girl, whatever. So she gives Rowan the rosary, right? And so then Cortland's outside, and then Cortland and Carlotta go back again, but like, you're acting like a victim. You kept Deidre hostage. All in this way to really manipulate Rowan to really see Carlotta as the villain, because she kind of is one, right? But not recognize that Cortland is also another flavor of a villain as well. Come see, come saw. So anyway, Cortland packs his stuff up. He decides to leave. And the daughter's like, we're leaving? He's like, another word, the devil don't need no help, right? That's why I always say about don't know what I hate when people say, I want to be devil's advocate because the devil don't need no help. Cortland's like, he don't need our help. He got this under control. And lo and behold, she decides to stay for dinner. Rowan decides to stay for dinner, and as she's like looking around the house, whatever like that, a moth comes up, leads her to the necklace. There's the necklace. She trades the necklace for the rosary. Carlotta comes upstairs, sees her with the necklace on, and is again giving you that, I want to beat you a wire hanger's tease look or whatever like that. So Carlotta goes downstairs and tells the staff she has special instructions. Mind you, Cyprian is looking up the history and sees that, in all the history of Mayfairs, there's diaries and letters talking about how all the Mayfair witches of these kind of designees are bound to Lasher. There's a letter, he's like, oh, she loves me, but she really loves him. And he sees a picture of this necklace. Now, in a good use of technology and bringing this story into this modern day, Rowan sends a picture of the necklace to Cyprian. I was like, kudos. Good way to bring this story, because it was written, in the 1990s. Cell phones or camera phones weren't really invented yet, but this was a way to keep the narrative modern, but also kind of move it along. He's like, look at this necklace. This is the necklace. Because Rowan had noticed it and said something about the necklaces when she was looking at the pictures. He's like, where are you? She's like, I'm at the house. He's like, I'm going to come see you. So Rowan's on his way to his house. Carlotta and them are having dinner. And so then she has dinner and Carlotta is done. She's like, I done wasted all my prayers on your mother. Your mother has been the bane of existence since she's been in town. And she gives up and gives, literally, if you know anybody who's ever prayed like, this is the last time, Lord, either you gonna do something or it's not gonna be done, that was Carlotta's prayer, right? And so then Rowan's like, girl, why is she going in like this? I did not set up for having no revival with my little beef stew and spinach or whatever I'm supposed to have, right? Child, Carlotta goes and locks the door and then decides to start to burn some sage. And when I saw her burning sage, I was like, ooh, she about to burn this house down. So mind you, Cyprian arrives and does the oddest thing. He jumps over the fence as opposed to going through the front gate. And I was like, why are we jumping over fences and you could just go through the front gate like everybody else? I don't know what that was, but whatever. In the realm of whatever. Anywho, she's like burns out. She tries to burn, she's about to burn the house down. Rowan's like, oh my God. She takes a gas lamp, throws it up against the wall. The tapestry comes on fire. Cyprian shows up. Oh my God, I'm here. And then she's like, oh shit. Because Carlotta's thought process is, since you're going to be the devil's whore, we're going to dead this now. And deading this means deading you, right? So Carlotta goes, try with her knife. She's about to stab Rowan. But here comes Cyprian busting in through the door. Carlotta stabs Cyprian. And then here comes Lashes, shows up to be like, she's already mine, bitch. All of this was for nothing because I already got her. And then it ends. Right? So, but for our kind of accelerated ending, or kind of exciting ending, this episode again moved us very little, right? But I want to discuss that in our second video about why, how, and all of this. But that's pretty much our episode. Show me your thoughts. Again, look for this, my second video sometime on Monday. Like I said, I'm going to stick with Mayfair Witches, but we need to have this come to Jesus because it's been burning in my soul. And after this episode, I felt some sort of way because, again, we really did not move the needle that far. And Mayfair Witches is failing on the assignment. And while I will discuss in my second video, I will discuss what the assignment was, how they could have done it, because the assignment, the bar was very low for Mayfair Witches, and they have totally failed the assignment. So anyway, have a great weekend. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.